All right. Welcome to ClickBid. My name is Matt Burnell, and in this tutorial, I would like to walk through the Virtuous integration. We released this integration only a few months ago, but we've already made some big improvements. And so what I want to do is just step through it really quickly. And let's start at the integrations dashboard page where you can choose to connect to any one of our integrations. In this case, I'm connecting to Virtuous. What you're going to need with Virtuous is an API key. If I go into settings and data management and connectivity, API keys, I'm going to be able to see those API keys that I've created. And so let's see if I have a ClickBid user. I can copy that and I can expose it first, and then I can copy it second. So now that API key is listed. So now that's going to connect to my ClickBid account when I press the connect button. Once that's complete, you're going to see a connected button. And then if you want to delete that connection, you can go ahead and do that. All right. That will expose the Virtuous software tab, and you have some menu items. So let's take a look at these menu items one at a time. Under settings, you're going to be able to choose an event to sync with, and that'll list all the events inside the Virtuous account. An auto sync option lets you move data from ClickBid back to Virtuous every 5 minutes. So for instance, if you're selling tickets or you're doing a fund a need or an online donation campaign, then every time somebody makes a donation at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock in the morning, within that 5-minute window, it will push that data back to Virtuous. So you won't have to actually do that manually. All right. So now under the exporting defaults for the sales, you can choose a campaign. You can also choose a project, and you can choose the receipting amount. By default, we choose purchase amount, which is just the full amount. Under data mappings, this is going to be a really big update for us, and we're using what are called custom collections inside of Virtuous. So we're going to talk through that a little bit. Under data mappings, you can first kind of default to whatever phone number, email, and contact type you would like to link to when you're sending data to Virtuous, or if you're looking for data from Virtuous. Custom mappings is any kind of custom field that you may have inside of your Virtuous constituent record or gift record. You could then create a custom mapping. So let's say if you had a table number that the auction item was located at, when you create the gift record, you could pass that back to a custom field in Virtuous and let that get mapped at the time that sale gets pushed over. But one of the things that we've done new is we're actually sending post-event data. So things that the attendee did, things that happened on the gift record, and all of its metadata we're putting into custom collections. The reason we're doing this is so that data will then be available historically for multiple events down the road. So if you do a fundraiser in the spring, a golf outing in the summer, and a kind of a virtual event in the fall or a Giving Tuesday campaign, all of that data will start to build for each individual in your Virtuous account, and it will show inside of those custom collections. So let's just take a look at it. So under custom collections, we do have a setup instructions where you can go ahead and you want to create a custom collection called ClickBid Attendee and ClickBid Event. And so what this will do is we're going to create those manually, and then you can download the fields that are required for those collections. Then in Virtuous, we're going to go back to settings, data management, and then we're going to do data customization, and we're going to come down here to custom fields and collections. So let's just go to custom fields and then pop over here to custom collections, and you're going to create ClickBid Attendee and ClickBid Event. So what I'm going to do is just edit, and you'll see here that you have, once it's loaded, it'll show you all of the custom fields that are inside of, you can see here, that are inside of the custom object or collection. So you just would create a new field and you would work through the list. The same thing with the ClickBid Event. When you've done that, what you can do is you can validate those collections by pressing the validate button, it'll run through and make a couple of API calls to make sure that the fields that it wants to put into that custom collection are working and valid. So it looks like we're good to go there. Then at the end of the event, we're going to come back here and we're going to press this sync sales and attendee collections. What that's going to do is it's going to accumulate all of the data following the event, and it's going to push it to Virtuous as it stands at that moment. Now, a couple of gotchas that I want to point out. Every time you press sync sales and attendee, ClickBid is going to send that data to Virtuous. Now, we don't overwrite data. We actually append, which means if you press the button more than once, we're going to send more than one record for each attendee in each event. That's okay. You can always delete it in Virtuous. It's probably better that way because that way we're not actually updating or possibly even corrupting data. So I recommend that you wait until the end of the event. When you're done reconciling, you're done checking people out, you can press the sync sales and attendee collections. So let's go down here to import bidders. Because you have an event chosen, in this case, the ClickBid 2026 Spring Fling, you can now choose any one of these individuals to bring into Virtuous. So you'll see here, you'll see a Virtuous ID if you want to import them. And then are they imported? Not yet. So you would just choose one and then import. It's really, really simple. Within 5 minutes, we'll see that data. Exporting bidders. If I want to export a bidder, so I can see here that, Vicky Vale is not exported to Virtuous. We don't have a matching ID yet. So what I could do is I could link to an existing Virtuous contact, or I can add update Virtuous contact. So what I can do is just press that button and then export, and it will then think for a moment and create that Virtuous ID record. Takes up to 5 minutes for that to get updated, but then you'll eventually see that listed in there. All right, let's go to export sales. Export sales. I have a sample here for Vicky. I want to send this over. Looks like the record was created properly. So I'm going to take this sale for $233, and I'm going to push that over to Vicky Vale. Now, let's go ahead and press export. So campaign, looks like I'm going to choose campaign 60. Let's just do foundations and grants. And the project is we've already filled that in. So let's go ahead and press export sales. And then that information will get exported within the next 5 minutes. Notice here that it's already done. Now, what does it mean when a sale has been exported to Virtuous? It means that sale is now sitting in the import. So we don't actually push the sale directly into Virtuous. We want you to clear it first through Virtuous's very robust importing options. So let's go to data management. And we're going to view some gift transactions. Now, you're going to see one here that is ready to be imported. So I'm going to choose that one. I'm going to bundle it. Now, there might be more here. There might be 10, 15, 20 different options. It just depends on how many transactions you've pushed from ClickBid to Virtuous. There may be 400 of them. But you'll notice here the transaction source says ClickBid, and then you're going to choose bundle. And then you're going to create a name for it. So let's just call it, I'm going to say May 13 import, save. And then your pending gifts have been queued. I'm going to hit OK. And now my import has been processed and ready to review. So now I want to take a look at it. And it looks like I don't need to do any matching. I don't need to do any updates. It's just ready to go. So I'm going to press import. And it's going to think, it's going to do its work, and then it's going to be done. Now, let's go back. Now that we've done that, let's go and take a look at Vicky Vale. All right, so let's take a look at her. And now we're going to see her giving record. and you'll see the $233 transaction has been properly imported, linked, and set up for her information. Now, the last section I want to take a look at before we go into the post event is the export guests. So in ClickBid, you can produce guest records when you sell tickets. So if I sell 5 tickets or 15 tickets or 500 tickets, they're going to be listed here. Notice that I have a testing happily here, and then I have a guest of happily, which means I don't have any email or phone. And when you don't have an email or phone, we're not going to let you send it to Virtuous. But in this case, testing happily has an email or phone, and it does look like, yep, there we go. We did send it to Virtuous. So this is a guest, not necessarily a bidder. If that person ultimately becomes a bidder, we're going to hang on to that record and keep them linked in the CRM. Briefly, if I just jump up here to manage bidders, anybody, so you can see here testing happily has a CRM tag. So that means that we have a reference of testing happily that goes to the CRM, in this case, Virtuous. And then Vicky Vale is the same way. So she has a CRM record. All right. Now, if I go back to integrations, Virtuous software, I can click on settings. And let's say I'm done with my event. I want to send all that data now to Virtuous. So I'm just going to press that. This will create a new attendee record. So we want to make sure. So we're basically just saying only run this once, and then we're going to send it. So its collection sync has started, and check the activity logs for results. It is pretty quick. So let's just go back to Vicky Vale, and we're going to go to overview. And then we're going to take a look at more. And you'll see here there is a ClickBid attendee and a ClickBid event custom collection. So let's take a look at attendee. And we've done this a couple times. So, back in April. So imagine these were 2 different events, but we're going to give you all the information for it. So we're going to tell you which event name, the event ID, the keyword, when did the event happen, and then we're going to give you some metadata that tells you everything you might want to know about this person. So in this case, did they place bids? How many did they place? Did they win anything? How much did they spend? How much did they donate? And so on. Some really, again, all of that metadata will be listed. If I then go to ClickBid event, I'll see here, I've been playing with this quite a bit. You can see I have one record for every transaction that Vicky placed. So where the previous custom collection kind of showed you a summary of information, this is a detail of the information that was sent. So for instance, this last one here was a cash donation for $233. It was a donation, the item category, the number, the name. So that way you can start to build historical reporting for all of this data. And that is really cool because especially as we start to build more AI tools, AI loves historical data. And so now we're able to maintain it over 1, 2, 3, 15 events in time. I did want to mention down here, the activity log. You can always track and see what has happened in the system. If there was something that didn't seem to move properly, we try to track absolutely everything that's going on. This is great for us as support representatives, but also for you if you want to see something that happened during a manual transfer or an automated transfer, if you're using the sync, and it'll show you that stuff as well. All right. Well, hopefully this was helpful, and thank you very much.